So I had to fix a little bit of a problem on the rig, which I accidentally broke, I think. There's also that lattice there, which I think was applied to a group rather than geometry. I don't know. There's a bit of things to fix. But anyhow, we were doing the last touches in here. So we wanted to have the wheel spinning, and we wanted to make sure that the audience would see it spinning a bit better. So again, the solution would be to add another offset here. So now when you spin the wheel, since you spin off center, it's a lot more visible that the wheel is spinning. Obviously, I don't want that to be that off center. But what I can do in here is I can grab all the 4 additional controllers I've just put in there, put them onto a layer, set a key at the beginning of the timeline, and I will offset them randomly around. So maybe this guy will go that way, this guy will go that way, for instance, and this guy will go that way, and this guy will go, say, that way. So, oh, my cat, isn't he lovely? His name is Rufus. So now we press S and we just play, and now hopefully it will be a lot easier to feel that the wheels are spinning and they're bumping into the fact that the asphalt is not super clean. And you know, we could even increase the stuff. Oh, I accidentally put the floor on the layer. I don't really need that. So that's because I need to change my selection mask. There you go. So I could perhaps increase this even more. After all, I'm onto a layer and I can reduce the weight of the layer. So now let's see, press play. Probably need to see this from the root point of view, so I will go root, camera follow there. There you go, this guy will be good. And now, well, this rotation is crazy. And now you see that the wheels are actually doing a lot of work now for us. So they're not super steady anymore. I mean, they're actually working for this shot. And that's something that it really helps to give us a sense of action for vehicles with wheels. So I will go back into the main shot, and we'll see what goes on in there. And it's looking kind of alright, I think. Now the last touch I need to put in there is that there's a gunner on top of this car that I think needs to shoot at the pillars on the left hand side of the camera. So we'll finally switch on the high res. Finally we can see the car there. And I don't really need all these guys. So I'm going to find them and I'm going to delete them. So there you go. So the gunner, is the gunner rigged? It's not rigged. So how is the gunner rotating around? This is the guy, that's the guy. Oh, I see. Okay, I see how it's rotated. Okay, so I need to go back into my rig because this thing is not rotated, so we cannot work that way. And I also, because say we want to transport the animation area and somewhere else, we are going to have troubles if that stuff is not really rigged. So that's the gunner there. What I can do is I can I need my, which is not mine really, I took it from someone else. I need a tool to create a control there. I used to have a tool called, there you go, I still have it. KK controller. I'm going to create a cube there. I'm going to go grab the cube, make it a lot bigger there, and I'm going to really move it up and line it up with the gun. I'm going to make it really long there because I need to be able to evaluate this motion even in low poly, so I want that to be clearly visible. So gun, and this will be the gun GRP. This is the group really, and this guy is the gun CTRL. This is the control. I probably need to freeze the scale, and I need to pirate this thing to this controller, I guess. So I pirate it there. Then this gun is going to control the robot turret. So gun is the master, robot turret is the slave. I'm going to do a parent constraint, and now should be able to do this and a bit of this, which in theory I wouldn't want to do, but who cares really. So I'm going to save this guy. I'm going to go back to my animated scene. And as a last touch, I'm going to add this guy. So reference editor, save, and I'm going to hit reload. Wish me luck. I've just realized that there was already a gun controller there. It was doing exactly the same thing. So now with shots which are very, very far away from the camera, you can hit backslash in Maya and drag with the whoa. No, you can't, because this guy is locked probably. So because it's much move. So what I'm going to do there is, now the scene is starting with the camera almost frontal to the shot, so to the camera, with the car almost frontal to the camera, sorry. So I mean that kind of sucks. So perhaps what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the camera. Let's see if this, yeah, I'll start with the camera with the car not frontal but already a bit more in the direction of the motion on a layer like that, and then I'm going to grab the gun and I'm going to rotate the gun so that it gives us a nicer silhouette there, say like that. And I think I can do that on the main layer really. There are some keys in there, but well, I don't know what they do. What do they do? I don't think it's visible what they do. I mean, they might well do something, but we don't see that. So I'm going to put the gun like that so that silhouette wise that's more recognizable. We know now there's something up there, something going on there. And this guy that I put on a layer and I gave an offset just to change the first pose, you see, I'm going to progressively zero it out, say here, so that's going to affect only the first pose. And now, so the thing is, I'm going to look at this guy. So if I want it to be really, really refined in here, one thing that I could do with this gunner is, as the car rotates, the gunner is kind of, oh, I see, we can only, the rig only lets, okay, so whatever. So the the car rotates and the guy is sort of delaying this sort of overlap in there. I don't care about that intersection down here, no one will ever see that. So the car rotates, and then when it stops rotating, the guy will react to it, and then adjusts, then we rotates again, the guy is delayed the other way around, and when the car stops rotating, the guy is adjusting. And then delayed, and then adjusting again, and then we go to the last rotation where the guy will be delaying. Guess what? Probably wanted to. There you go. And then as we hit the pillar there, probably want the guy to react to the hit. There you go, and then it will reassess. So let's see if this could work for us. Okay, yeah. We don't really see that guy doing anything, do we? Oh, that last bit is way too fast. This last bit in here. Yes, that's a bit better. So let's see. Yeah, it was nice to try it, but it really doesn't do any difference, unfortunately. So I will just make the guy aim at the pillars he's supposed to shoot at. So at this stage, while we rotate, we want the gunner, to just to rotate over there, right there. Yes. So it's going to rotate. And then what we want to do is we want him to keep aiming at that so that the effects artists can start shooting anytime they want, really, anytime they please. Because the gunner keep focusing on there. If we had a proper aim in here, this would be a lot easier to animate. There you go. Then the guy will aim at the thing. And he will keep on aiming. There you go. It doesn't matter if there is some intersection in there. We're never going to see it. In fact, we can perhaps even exaggerate the turn there. So the gun is always now this is when it would be really good to have the cache for those bullet effects, because if we had that cache, we could really aim, and perhaps we could have the gunner aim at the pillars and we could see the motion there. But without that cache or even a proxy effect in there, this is simply speaking not a thing. So maybe I will eyeball it here. So he's shooting at the second pillar, and then he will just go to the next one. And then I will keep the focus on the last pillar. There you go, and then it will pass by, that's it. And I will zero out. So let's see if that gunner means anything. Okay, so we have our motion in there. There you go. It seems to work okay. And yeah, in here the wheels are a bit too extreme, I think. So I would probably look at what's going on there, because I'm breaking them. Whoa, yes, way too much. So this layer, yeah, so what I need to do in here is, this is kind of okay. So I need to go around with the global camera follow and make sure I don't break the wheels too much. I think another thing I could do with this, I could grab the whole chassis, this guy, I guess he is. And I could just raise it a bit, because I've noticed that sometimes the wheels are going into the car. I'm going to check. And this is when we're really pushing it a bit too much. So I'm going to grab the anim layer 3, I think it was, and I'm just going to reduce this so that it doesn't break that much. I'm going to check. So it rotates a lot, and then there you go, it counter rotates. So I'm going to have a look at this. I'm going to save. It would be great to have an antenna here, some floppy antenna going on. So let's have a look. There you go. So now we have a bit more motion in the car. It looks like it's wobbly left and right a bit. Now the question is, do we want to? I mean, ideally we would like to animate a reaction to this building, to this thing being hit. So ideally we would really want to have that. Practice is getting late, so I would say let's try very quickly, and if we can, then good. Otherwise, we are sort of done with this. So we have the pre-contact pose. I'm going to put a layer on the chassis there. Probably going to call also the aim for the bot in there for the gunner, so that I have both of them. This is when it would be good to be able to also rotate the gunners in other directions. And then what we can do in here is we can, we can keep the car motion there, but you see we go there at full speed and then we hit. So I'm going to perhaps cheat, and just so much I can do in there because of this wheel in there, so I'm not going to go any deeper into that wheel, although perhaps I could cheat the wheel as well. So I will put the wheel onto the same layer. This is the layer where we animate the hit. So, oh, I see. Let's see if I can spin it. Oh, perhaps I could use this guy. Nope. Perhaps I could move it. Nope. So I don't really have control of this wheel apart from the spinning thing. The problem with the spinning thing is that if I move it too much, this wheel is going to spin like crazy. So, well, I'm gonna try it anyway. So we are spinning there, we are sliding there, and then we go in, we hit with the chassis. You see the chassis moves up. In fact, I could probably exaggerate a bit the chassis in there. Let's see, something like that. So the car is going to hit the chassis in there. This guy is going to probably, where's the aim gone? It's going to probably, it would be great if you could rotate it any other way, but it's going to probably, so this is when the hit goes, so the guy is going to probably rotate that way, and then a bit more that way, I guess. I'm trying to make it big. There you go. And then I want to go back to 0 with everything there. And I suspect that if it was bumped in that way, it would probably counter rotate a bit. And then it will zero out. Probably raise. So I want to see this thing from the camera view. There you go. So there's a little bit of a hit there. Which is probably too quick. Probably going to raise this wheel for the hit. So the wheel is going to stay down. Zero out. Okay, cool. So sorry, I'm doing a lot of things in my brain, but I'm not talking anymore. Sorry, guys. So in here, I want to see, because I feel like there's a lot of translation going on the Y of this control. Yes. So let me see where this is happening in the end. Okay, cool. So we have four wheels on the floor there. It doesn't really matter if they go that much in at this stage. And in here we got four wheels on the floor. Then this is when the hit happens. So perhaps we still are with four wheels on the floor again. And then that's probably too much. So now we have 3 wheels on the floor there. And this wheel really is supposed to go up and then fall back down on the floor, which is not, because there must be something in the global controller. Here. So we need to put him again under the floor, so the wheels are on the floor there. There you go, and then that's it. Now let's have a look at the camera. So there's a bit of a hit there. Which, if we really want to be nerds about this thing, means that we need another layer, and when we hit that thing there, we are going to twist probably that way a bit. And then we are going to recover. So it's not beautiful, but it sort of does its job, I think. What's going on here? Okay, so I'm going to check the close-up of this thing. It's a bit too quick, but I think I'm kind of done here. So there you go. Let's see one last time. Kind of the thing that bugs me a bit is that the car accelerates here in rotation and then sort of stops the acceleration in rotation there, which is kind of a bummer really, because we would like it to keep sliding, I think. So I'm going to go on a layer. I'm going to make this thing a bit more rotated, and then the car will recover. Yeah, it's a bit better. And I think that's it for now. I will probably make a last play blast and just to see what goes on in there. So play blast without any fancy thing there, like controls and stuff. Then I will save this file and I will do the last play blast and just see. There you go. So H264, and I do the last play blast. I want it to be from render settings, so I get the proper scale that we will be seeing in animation once rendered, and this needs to be set to none, only polygons. There you go, that's my scene there. And well, let's hope for the best. So play blast. So we have our final play blast in here, and I play blasted it at the right resolution, the one we will be rendering at, just because this way I have full control over what happens on screen. I can see if there's anything that needs love in there. And then the car has some nice bumpy bumpy motion on the wheels, some wobbliness on the chassis. The weakest point is probably the end, where it gets hit, and then I would kind of expect it to be a bit more wobbly in the end, and instead it feels like it's hit, and this is not playing the right speed. Just a second, it's hit. It wobbles, but then it doesn't come back, so perhaps I will have a look at it. One last little bit of a tweak. So the way I mean, from the camera it's fairly difficult to do that wobbly bit, because the camera is moving. It's very difficult to see what's going on in there. So I would probably again put the chassis on a layer there, just the frame, and look at it from this angle. So it hits. That's cool. So perhaps after it's hit, I could have it keep wobble that way. Yes. And then I could zero it out and wobble the opposite way. And then recenter. Let's see if we're going to see that. The problem is that it's very fast action. Yeah, I think there's already something going on in there. So you can tell that the car is sort of trying to get back to horizontal. So we go there, we hit. And the other thing is perhaps that we could think of doing is, once the car is hitting the pillar, we can rotate the nose a bit like this way, which makes sense considering it's been hit, or it's hit the pillar really. So it would go that way, then the driver will probably take control and steer it back towards the end, meaning probably the wheels will play a part in it. So the car hits the pillar, turns that way, and then the driver will steer the wheels to keep the car from turning left, and then it will counter steer again. Let's see if that makes any sense whatsoever, if I'm making this up. So we'll look at it from this angle. Yeah, that kind of works. It's a bit too much perhaps, so I will perhaps grab this guy and just make it 50% as intense. So now there you go. Yeah, I think this could work. There you go. let's have a look at it from the shot camera. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a bit more organic now. It's not great. It's not great yet, but it kind of works already. So I'm going to call this a day. I'm going to save this scene and do one last play blast. And let's have a look at what came out of the last play blast. So the car does its it turns, hits something. Yeah, that's a lot better. Now I can see the wobbliness there. Actually, I mean, seeing it in Maya's viewport is a bit deceptive because you drop frames. So there you go. Now it really feels like I can really feel that feeling of the car being hit. You see there? Really cool. Yeah. And the beauty of this whole thing is that if say that the director now, I don't know, they realize that they want the car to hit the this pillar a bit more, a bit deeper, let's say, what we can do in here, once my cat goes past the webcam, that is, there you go, nice. What we can do in here is we can create one more layer, as if we didn't have enough layers there. We have this root controller on it, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the hit point. This is the hit point, and I'm just going to place the car like so, a bit deeper into the contact point, set a key, and then I'm going to, I don't know, zero out, I guess, the animation at the beginning. So now at the beginning the animation will be as it was before, and progressively it will be re-aiming at this new point, but overall we shouldn't even be changing anything, you see. And well, we go just there a lot more into it. I think I will do it now that I've seen it. I cannot unsee it. So yes, I will call this layer hit depth, and this means that whoever grabs this shot can go in here, remove the intensity of the layer, and then we'll move the car, you see, away from the hit point or a bit deeper, depending on how they want it to be. However, the thing is, now that I look at it, as usual, one should never look at it too many times. I don't want the wheel to go onto the pillar, because they would force the pillar to somehow be smashed by the wheel, which is a bit too unrealistic. Instead, I can just have the back side of the car. There you go, take care of it. There you go, and that works really nicely. So I think perhaps in here I can rotate the wheels a bit more. There you go. Kind of like the idea of, even if it's wrong, to see the wheels turning that way and then turning back. Gives me the feeling of someone trying to keep control of the car. I'm going to play blast just the last bit of the animation, and that seems to work more or less. Okay, I kind of now I look at it and I feel like it shouldn't go that far and that fast to the left. The problem with animation is that every time you look at it you want to change something, so one really should know when to stop. So perhaps one more layer. I guess that's the one is not me. So there you go. So on one more layer I can try and see if it works any better. Let me see the frame in there. Yes, If it works any better to just move the car, set a key. Oh, what's going on there? This is the root. I've set a key on the layer. I think my Maya is about to crash. So if I set a key on the layer there, I think Maya is crashing. Yeah, and I'm looking at the last version of this animation. Well, I'm looking if DJView wants to play it, that is. So there you go, the car does its stuff, hits the wall, and then we just go on driving on, let's say. There you go. So that's it, and this is the shot essentially. I mean, we have seen a bunch of tricks really for animating vehicles and a bunch of techniques to control them. It was very long because we had a lot of issues, of course, with the rigging, with the scene, with really everything, with the lack of features at times. But all in all, I think this is a viable shot now. So have fun. Bye bye. And the cat is going in front of the camera.